So I didn't have that kind of bullying.
Mm-hmm.
But the other bullying, the physical, the emotional, the mental, is just, even back then, was hard to deal
Yeah.
with.
All right. Welcome to episode 14 of the Matt and Monica podcast.
Yeah, thanks guys for watching and tuning in, and I'm excited for this podcast or episode, not podcast, episode. This is Mr. G.
Hi, how you doing all? It's happy to be here. I just want to thank Monica and Matt for inviting me to share my story with me, and hopefully it touches a child's life.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
I'm just going to give people a little bit of a backdrop because people just don't have any idea. I'm going to take that out of my ear first because I'm getting echo.
Yeah.
But, I've known Mr. G for about a year and whatnot, and he's become incredibly
good friend.
important, beyond
Yeah.
a friend,
Yeah.
just someone that's inspired me, honestly. He's just a genuine good person, and
Yep.
the world needs more of these people, for
Yes.
sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he actually wanted to do a podcast about talking about bullying, and he's got some great questions lined up, as do I. Great things to talk about, and I got some questions. I'm gonna try to control cameras at the same time. This
Yeah.
is kind of a new experience for me, so
Hang in there
Yeah.
with
But,
us.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm still learning and stuff
Yeah,
with it. So
you're 48 years old. You're just telling
Yes.
us, which I can never
Yep.
remember how old you are. 'Cause
Yep.
I know you're a junior.
Yeah.
So most people I'd be like, yeah, I know
Yeah.
Luke Grindle. They're like,
oh, I
junior
know
or
that.
senior. Everyone
Yeah.
knows.
Yeah.
Everybody in this area knows who you
Yep.
are, which
Yeah.
isn't a bad thing. 'Cause
No,
nobody had a
no.
bad thing to say about you. But yeah.
Yeah.
So as far as where do you have a place where you want to start talking?
I can start from growing up to like when I was a baby and child and
Yep.
stuff like that. Then I can tell you the struggles, because I had struggles when I was a child too.
Yep.
And then all the way through the grade school and stuff like that. I can go on.
You can start wherever you want.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, just whoever don't know me, my name is Mr. G. They call me Mr. G. And when I was born and raised in Camden all my life. And when I was born, I almost wasn't here because, when I was born, I was close to dying. I was in an oxygen tent for 3.5 months.
Jeez.
And my feet looked like Bozo the Clown. They were so huge and stuff like that. And I couldn't see my mom. I couldn't see my dad. So I had pneumonia, severe pneumonia, really, really bad. And I almost wasn't here to tell about it. So, and then as I got older and stuff like that, I got better and stuff like that. And then when I was 1 or 2 years old, I looked like I was 5. My body was just, I have pictures in my house where I would sit in a high chair feeding, and I was too big for the high chair. I would actually slip down. And you know how most kids love baby food?
Mm-hmm.
Not Mr. G. I can tell you one thing. I did not like baby food. My mother sent me baby food. I spit whoever fed me. I threw it, spit it and threw it at him because I didn't like baby food. I must have wanted the real stuff.
Yeah.
Real stuff real quick because I didn't like baby food. It was terrible. It was awful. It was something like that. So I threw. And I spit, and I would just like, and the faces my mom would say growing up is like, I don't. So at 8 months old, they started me on real food, and
you have a steak at 8 months old.
exactly, yeah, I had a steak, lobster, you name it, I would love to eat it and stuff like that. So, I wasn't your typical kid because most kids are rambunctious. And my father was very big into softball back when I was growing up and stuff like that. And he coached and stuff like that, played. And I would sit in my little lawn chair, I would sit there in a corner and watch a game. All the other kids would be running around, getting in the dirt. No. I would just sit there and be glued and watching my dad and watching the game, and I would just be glued. I wouldn't, and then when the game was over, I'd pick my little lawn chair up and I walked to the car. And then, and then as I got older, my first high school football game was when I was 5. My dad would take me. He'd go down. He had a bunch of friends that he would talk to along on the fence and stuff like that. And I would sit in the stand, and he knew exactly where I was. I could see him on the peripheral vision on the corner of my eye. He could see me. I could see him. I wasn't running around like all these other kids. And I would just watch and learn and observe football and stuff like that. I always was meant to be a sports person in football because I just enjoyed watching. I enjoyed learning. And at halftime, I walk down the stairs in the bleachers and go, Dad. I go, Dad, can I have money? Yep. I get a hot dog and soda. I get it. Then I walk back up and sit right down in the same spot. I would sit in the same spot every single time and just watch. So, but nowadays, it's hard to do that for kids to sit there and still like that. I'm just going to go back in my notes and see if I'm not forgetting anything. All right. Then here come the thing. School started. I have to tell you a funny story, folks. I wouldn't advise your kids to do this, but I was in kindergarten, half day, and it was nap time. So Mr. G got the bright idea of, I like this girl in kindergarten. So we sat down with a little blankets, a little pillows, and it was night, and the lights were off, teacher was doing her thing, and I reached over, I was rolling over a little bit, and I gave this girl a kiss on the cheek. Holy cow! She was scared and flipping out, and the teacher goes, "What's going on? What's going on?" I got kissed, and I was like laughing and stuff like that, and then finally the teacher goes, "Who did it?" I go, "I did it." So I got in trouble for kissing a girl in nap time because I thought that the thing to do. I wanted.
I got in trouble with kindergarten, something with a girl as well.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah.
So it's a funny story. It's like, it happened. So I just want to share that funny story that, and then growing up, I always wanted to be around the adults for some reason. I guess because I just loved learning about older people, the wisdom they had, and the kids. And like I said, I wasn't a typical kid. I wouldn't go get money, and I wouldn't be on the PlayStations. I didn't have any of that stuff. I was outside and stuff like that. But sometimes it was good in the fact that you can be alone, but yet you want to get involved with some other kids. But I got the feeling in my neighborhood, I'd be the kid. Can Tommy come out and play? Can Jimmy come out and play? And I would go knock on the doors and see if they could come out and play. We get kickball, hide and go seek, baseball, you name it. We all get them together. And we used to ride bikes. We used to play the Dukes of Hazzard. So everybody had your part, whatever like that. Mm-hmm. So it was just fun. But the only bad drawback was I was the person to get everything going, but I was always the last one to be picked on a team, or the last one to, okay, you can be this person. I was always last. Mm-hmm. I didn't know if it was because how big I was. I was bigger than the other student, bigger than the other kids on my street, neighborhood. But I felt like, why do I always have to be last? And that really bothered me. It really in my touch in my heart that like, you know, why do I always have to be last? And other than that, then in
How old were you at that point when you kind of realized that, you think?
I was probably 6 or 7.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was probably that 6 or 7. And then in the neighborhood, it wasn't so bad. It was the summer of I was in first grade, about 6 in the summer. Then okay, then school started in first grade. Okay, now maybe things will be different in school. Maybe I'll learn stuff like that. And I struggled in gym class. I struggled because they thought I had a bone disease, MS. They thought I had muscular dystrophy. I went through all these tests, and I had to take a special gym class. It's called Adaptive PE program to help with my motor skills, to help with. I couldn't go upstairs. I could hardly get out of a car. Just imagine trying to get out of a car, and that's why when I said when I was younger, that's why I would sit in a parking lot and look and feel nobody's watching me. Now I can get out of the car because it took so long for me to get out of a car, even with my legs and stuff like that. So just for a minute, just visualize that I felt everybody was making fun of me and watching me getting out of the car. That's why I waited till everybody else left the car, left the parking lot, so I could feel secure enough and safe enough that nobody's looking at me, nobody's watching me, and I could take my time to get out of a car. That was very harsh.
You
It was
were
very
in like first grade ish.
what?
Were you like in first grade?
Yes,
So
first grade.
okay.
Yes, first grade.
Oh, so young.
And then I was then I tried to get a little better, but I had a special gym class. I thought I was different, and people made fun of me. But yeah, I had to take it just to get my motor skills, my body. My body grew way too fast before my muscles grew with it. You know what I'm saying? So I've always been a big kid. I've always been big because that's the way God wanted me to be, I guess. I don't know what the genetics was, but it was just something I had to deal with,
Yeah.
even at a young age, something I had
It's
to
the
deal
card
with.
you were dealt.
Yeah,
Not much you can do about it.
Yeah.
you're right. You gotta card your dealt. You deal with it. You learn how to deal with it and get better at it. But kids, as you know, kids can be so cruel, so cruel.
Yeah.
And no matter what it is, kids can be so cruel. And it's just like when I was second. No, first year wasn't bad. Second, because I as my second grade, I got to realize that okay, yeah, I had to take the special gym class to help me get better, help me to get upstairs, to get out of a car, so I don't have to feel like.
Did it hurt you moving around like that? Was it painful?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very painful, emotionally and physically.
Yeah.
Because my leg, even to this day, real quick, my right leg is that much taller than my left leg. And you wouldn't think that little bit made a difference,
well-
but it made a huge difference and stuff like that. And it was tough for me even to ride a bike and stuff like that. I did it because I love riding bikes, but it was tough to me riding bikes and tough to me to get thing. And when I played, now second grade was, I got a little used to it, or even Little League baseball for crying out loud. When I was in Little League, guess what? I got picked last again. Because it took me, my timing, hitting step and swing, my timing was off. Because my leg would not comprehend picking up and hitting at the same time. And I wasn't Jesse Owens. I wasn't just the only ones that attracted me. That's for sure. It took me a while to because I wasn't speed. It took me a while to run the bases, and I would huff and puff, and I'd had to hit the ball almost to the fence to get a double because I wasn't the fast guy. I wasn't that fast guy on the team or something like that. But it was very harsh because people would just ridicule you and make fun of you even then and stuff like that. I don't think it was called bullying when I was in school. Maybe picking on or something like that, but it still hurts.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
very painful. It hurt inside it hurt me inside, and I didn't know how to handle it back then because people just sweep it on the rug. Okay, they're just picking on you. Like the old saying goes, sticks and stones will break my bones, but names will never hurt me. You know, stuff like that. And I was more physically bullying. People would push me, like, get out of the way and just, you know, stuff like that. And verbally bullying me because they would make fun of me and they could laugh at me because I was slow. I couldn't walk very good. I couldn't do the things that they could do per se better. I mean, granted, luckily, fortunately enough for me, I didn't have the cyberbullying because there's no cell phones back and they were just coming out and stuff like that. So unfortunately, in that aspect, I was thankful enough where I didn't have the cyberbullying and stuff, the technology that where it was back then. So I didn't have that kind of bullying. But the other bullying, the physical, the emotional, the mental, is just, even back then was hard to deal with. And my grades were affected by that. Because I loved school. I loved going to school. But it was just like, you know, why do I want to go to school and do good where people would just make fun of me?
And they're just cruel and mean for no reason.
Day in,
Yeah.
day out.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable how much. And like I said, and it's called bullying back then, maybe more like picking on stuff like that. And even the people, the schools and teachers, whatever, they wouldn't know how to deal with a person that was bullied because they didn't really know it themselves. It just started, it was a new thing. So that's what makes it even tougher. It's just so hurtful, you know, and I wouldn't want anybody to go through this. It's just
The flip side of it too is what your parents, because your parents, I assume, were aware of what you're going through. And being a parent dealing with a kid that's bullied, like,
That's painful for them too.
It is.
Because, like, how do they help the situation? You know, what do they do to
right,
help you?
exactly. And going from a person that loved school and stuff like that, and not, they saw the sign, but they didn't know how to handle stuff themselves. How do I help my child cope with this stuff?
Yeah.
How do I help? There was nothing. Yes, everybody has counselors and stuff like that, but they didn't have the resources. I personally, I don't think they had the resources in the everyday world and stuff like that. Like Google, how to handle this, how to help this. They don't have that good of resources.
I think it's hard too because a lot of times people are like, the people that are being bullied, it's like they need help and they're going to need the therapy or whatever, but you need to get to the root of the problem. So let's try to help the kids that are bullying and see what they need help with, because you're not really mean to someone when you're happy. Like, they're going through stuff too,
Right.
most likely. They need help,
Yes.
you know? So,
exactly.
yeah.
You're exactly right. And they're sometimes the only attention they get is the negative attention.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
all they knew all their lives.
Right.
And so me being bullied when I was in school is like, it was like, now you realize that the person that was bullying me, maybe he was reaching out for help, and, you know, because they're acting up, but they're reaching out for help. and people don't back then didn't realize that.
Yeah.
So there's until you walk in a person's shoes, you don't know what they're going through. Is it hurtful? Is it hurtful? Absolutely. Is it right? Well, I didn't think it was right for people would pick on me. But in the same token is now I look back upon it, were them kids reaching out? Were them kids reaching out for help?
Yeah, they don't know how to say, hey, I need help. Hey, I'm going
Exactly.
through this.
Exactly.
They're just splurring out their negativity and their pain on someone else.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, like I know things are a lot different now than they were back then.
Yeah.
But things aren't necessarily different for the better or for worse. They're just strictly different. Like how many kids
Yeah.
nowadays are raised by their grandparents? You know,
Oh.
like that's a thing that I think 20, 30 years ago, you know, it happened,
but
but it wasn't
It's way
the
more
norm.
common now.
you're exactly
Right.
right.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is because parents are elsewhere doing God knows what.
Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly.
Vicious
That's
circle.
Yeah.
yeah. And so then after a couple years at the elementary school, in fourth grade, I had this student. It was during lunch, recess. I was in the gym, didn't see it coming. Somebody just haul off and push me. Just pushed me down. I broke my arm.
Oh,
Jeez.
wow.
He just, I didn't see it coming. I was doing it, and he just hauled off and pushed me.
Was he someone that would bully you pretty often?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Didn't see it coming. My hand was like this. I go, oh. So after that, after you got the situation, after the fifth, I thought, okay, I'm going to the middle school. It's going to be a lot better. It's going to be great. But because I got to see my grandfather because he was a head custodian at the middle school at the time. Okay, I can see Grandpa every day and this and that.
Middle school is vicious.
Vicious, yeah,
I've heard.
was even the word for it. Middle school, when I was there, the bullies would say to me, these bullies I get off the bus, and it started. And they were eighth graders. I was in sixth grade, excuse me, when I was in school because elementary was K through 5 when I went to school.
Same.
So sixth grade, I got off the bus. And these three kids, they're like staring at me. So I didn't think nothing. I just went on my day. But then it started. I think they're just looking out for somebody to bully because then that first day, they would push me downstairs. They would try to trip me, push me in my locker, steal my food off my lunch tray, tell them to give me their lunch money, or they would beat me up on the bike racks or something, like meet me and they would do something and viciously try to. It was so bad that because when the 8-minute bell rang back in the day, I couldn't concentrate on my work. I would, in my mind, play back, okay, I get 8 minutes. How am I going to get from one class to the other, go way out of my way to the school so I wouldn't have to do these bullyings? I would hide in the bathroom. And I'd be late for class. I would accept the punishment for the teacher to not run into these bullies.
So did they ever have any consequences for doing that to you?
I don't know. I don't think so. I don't know for sure. 'Cause I didn't really ask them, but
You never
I never
ratted
told.
out.
No, I never told anybody until I was until the 7th grade. Then I used to, or backing up a little bit. Another thing that I could never do was play popcorn or football because I was too big and they had weight limit, And that's another thing I got harassed about was my weight and all this, and you should play football and blah, blah, blah. And it was just because that, but I was a part of the pro football program as a team manager, like the water boy, again, help help the guys, then call timeout, bring out the water, help the coaches get things ready for practice and stuff like that. So I had a good bond with them. Thankfully, good Lord, I had a great bond with them because after this happened 2 years, I go, you know what? I can't deal with this. I was going down the wrong path. I was going around the why kids are bothering me, and I didn't want to come to school, and I wanted to be free. I wanted to hurt myself. I'll be honest with you. I wanted to hurt myself, and I didn't want to come to school. I go, you know what? Enough is enough. So one day, this is before my seventh, no, before my seventh grade. We had, because football was in this summer through fall. I told the football players that what was going on, what was happening to me for a year and a half or whatever, and they said okay. So I never forget this day as long as I live. It was about first week of school, and it was after school. I saw them three bullies. My heart starts racing. My palms are sweating. What am I going to do? How am I going to do this? How am I going to avoid these? How I was terrified. I looked like white as a ghost. A sheet of white came over. I go, how am I going to face these bullies? Thought it was not. Then they started walking toward me, then come around the thing. There stood about 10 of the football players. 10 of them. They told me, let him go his thing. I want my thing. Nobody happened. They took care of it. To this day, I have no idea what was said, what was done. But you would think the brick of my shoulders would just was so relieved. It's like, I can be myself again. I can enjoy school again. And my grades went from failing to like B's and A's. I made honor roll. It's like, so it's very important that kids nowadays tell somebody.
Yeah.
Tell somebody, because don't live through the pain. First 7 years of school, I went through that. It's not fun. It's not. Then build up, and then you can make choices down the road that are wrong choices, and then their path is not thing. Everybody deserves to be happy, to be free of people bullying them, because it's not right. Mm-hmm. It's not right. And
I do want to add, throw in, not to interrupt, but I went through some pretty severe bullying. I think fifth grade-ish. Just people just like to screw with me, and I've always been different. I always will be different. I'm all right with that, but it's something like it's completely out of your control, and there's nothing for the most part you can do. And it's like, hopefully, the new awareness in this day and age, things do change, which I don't think you're ever going to completely get rid of it. And I think there's different not that I would ever encourage bullying, but also like to think it created you who you are today.
Yeah.
Because of the hardship you went through. Your skin is thick.
Yeah.
You don't care. I mean, you care very much about things you need to care about.
Right.
But like, you just being you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're okay with that.
Right. Oh yeah. And it made who I am. Absolutely. It made my past who I am today. Absolutely. And that's why even in high school, I'll give you an example. A little back when I was in Camden, when I was in high school and stuff, it's always been, it's not how you are, it's who you are, what name you have.
Mm-hmm.
It's always been like that.
Mm-hmm.
Always have, always will be. I don't know, because I didn't, when I tried out for the 7th grade basketball team, I didn't make it. I go, why? Oh, you're too slow. You don't know how to do this. But yet, when I played, I went to these people's houses outdoors basketball. I would beat them all the time. Now, that didn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
So, I found out that there's a spot in the bowling team. Try out for that. Perfect. So, 7th grade, I tried out for a bowling team, and the rest is history. I love bowling, and in school, people would say, well, bowling's not a real sport. Bowling is not. It is for dummies. It just showed the ball. I go, yes, it is a sport. It's a very challenging sport. Yes, people, it's a fun sport to do if you just want to go recreational, just throw the ball down the alley, rock a ball type of thing with the music and turn off the lights. But if you're into it, like school bowling and league bowling and stuff like that, if you're serious about it, it's a very frustrating sport, like golf. And I think the kids were jealous because I excelled there, and I excelled as a team. I excelled. I won a sectional title. I
Wow.
went to states, and they used to have a show. I don't know if people remember this show on Channel 3. Is called WSTN on Saturday mornings. Challenge Bowling. They had a show that you go in high schools would, or high school, middle school. Your team would go against other schools. I was on that show 28 times, and I lost twice. We're 26-2,
Wow.
and we were because we bowled together. We bowled as a team and stuff like that. But I think people were, now I can look back upon it, I think they were jealous because they didn't get that TV exposure for a certain sport they played. They didn't get that exposure. I'm not tooting my own horn, but if you tell me bowling's not a sport
Yeah.
and fire me up, then I'm going to tell you you're wrong.
You want to try me?
Exactly. I mean, you can if you want, because and everybody's been beaten. You win. You learn how to win. You learn how to lose. But don't tell me it's not a sport, and don't start running your mouth. That's when you fire me up. That's the old saying goes: "Don't poke the bear." And people tend to do that sometimes when it comes bowling is not a sport. And to this day, I bowl regularly, and I love bowling, and I will always believe that bowling
It's your thing, you know?
will
Yeah.
be a sport.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope someday it become an Olympic sport, well deserved, But it is what that's here and there. But I'm saying is, even growing up in the high school, as not so much bullying, but I made fun of. I guess it's verbally bullying because they made fun of me because I was a bowler, as that's not a real sport. That's not a real sport. Well, it's like, I go, I shouldn't have said this, but a lot of times I go, did you go to states or win a sectional title?
Wait, what? Did you?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly what I did. They go, no. I go, well, you have nothing to say. And so like that. And it's just like some people just didn't get it. I know some people just thought because when I was in school, I was not confrontational. I did not like confrontation. So I just took it. And now, in this day and age, I'm not so I speak my mind. Sometimes that's not always a good thing. Sometimes that's not always a good thing because it gets me in trouble sometimes. But after being all my life not speaking your mind and sucking up and taking it and not sticking up for who I was, like I said, I'm 48 years old. I am who I am. You can like me, you can hate me, or don't talk to me.
Yeah.
I really don't care. I care for people I care about and who I love. I mean, how many people, I'll get the shirt off my back if I had to. It's like in public. To this, I see it when I go out in public nowadays. It's like how many kids you see open the door for an elderly person in public.
Arrow, come.
Right. Here, come.
Over.
This side.
You don't see that.
Yeah.
You really don't.
Or even the simplest thing are please and thank you.
Yep.
Yeah.
That is a lost art.
Yeah, it is.
That is a lost art. And I see it all the time. Even sometimes my nephew, I still to this day I go, what's the magic word? He's like,
Arrow.
huh?
Arrow.
He's like, huh?
Yeah.
What's your magic word? Huh? Please, thank you. Are you saying please and thank
There's
you?
more manners in people.
Yeah. She does.
Are you saying please and thank you?
Aww. You can push her down if you
Yeah.
want to.
Are you listening? What is your intake on this whole conversation? What would you say? Please and thank you. Would you say yes to that, or would you say no to that?
Just like I want to play fetch. You like playing fetch?
Ooh.
Ooh.
Yeah.
We'll go outside and play fetch in a little while. Okay.
So you were where you left out. You're like entry level high school when this stuff happened.
Yeah.
Did things just get a lot better from there?
Oh, things that yeah.
Okay.
Things got a lot better because when I come to realize that, I am who I am, and I'm a certain person. And some people, some people would make fun of me again, stuff like that. But as you get older, you realize, you're like sticks and stones to break my bones. His name's never hurt me. For example, when I used to go to high school dances, you would think I'd want to dance with people. No. My favorite singer is Elvis Presley. When he came on, I was in the middle of the floor, and I was singing, and everybody else was around me. I didn't care what people thought, because to me, dancing soothes the soul.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what it is, just go with the flow. 3 to 4 minutes a song, whatever the song is, you're just having your own thing and just letting loose. And I've always done like that and stuff like that. People would say, like, they would laugh and stuff like that, but that's okay. I go, I love singing, love dancing, because it soothes the soul. I'm not saying I'm going to make $1 million, a record label. No, that's not even a thought. For me and for a person to find something they like and it calms them and soothes the soul and just relax them, and they can do it to take their mind off what they're going through just for a little while, is very, very important.
Yeah.
I agree.
And it really...
Like you danced on the stage in front of the entire school.
That was amazing.
Yes.
Recently,
Yeah.
like this
Yeah.
year.
Yes.
This past year is incredible.
Yes.
Standing ovation.
I enjoy doing that. I love doing that because it relaxes. And to me, if a child sees an adult doing something, maybe it can inspire them too, And like I said, to do this podcast, I didn't do it to toot my own horn. I just want to relate to kids to tell them what I've been through, and hopefully, if I touch one person's life today, I did. I feel what I had to do, because that makes me more proud than anything touching young person's life. Whether they're in high school, whether they're in grade school, it don't matter. If they can relate and tell somebody, and they can learn to tell somebody and stand up for who they are and what they believe in, this world will be a better place. And if you just spread positivity, because I'll be honest with you, positive people are not the norm these days.
Yeah.
They're really not.
You know, as you guys can relate, positive people are very few and far between. Because the world we live in is so negative, so that, and I always ask a question to a couple of people I run into. Hey, can you tell me if your glass is half full or half empty? They look at me like nobody's ever asked me that question. I go, what is your answer? They go, I don't know. I go, that's something to think about. And the thing about when I get up every morning, no matter what I do, start my day, I want to influence somebody in a positive way. I take pride in being positive. Some days it's hard. I'm not saying I'm always positive, upbeat. Everybody goes through trials and tribulations, whatever, everyday life. What I'm saying is, what I do is I try to be positive.
Yeah.
It can be a Monday morning, I'm full of spunk and I'm full of energy, raring to go. It don't matter what day it is, as long as you have that, because attitude is a choice. My personal opinion, attitude is a choice. And a smile is contagious.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you smile and make eye contact with somebody, that's contagious. Maybe you're the most, you'll be the happiest person they see during the day.
Yeah.
But you made a difference in that person's day.
Yep.
And that's what makes the world go round. And why I wanted to do this podcast today. And hopefully it touched someone's life to not take that, have courage enough to tell somebody. Because there's always sources out there and people do care.
Yep.
And don't let it fester up. It's like, and then you lose total control of your life.
Yeah.
That is not what this meant to be. It's just for people saying there are people out there, and speak up and outside the box and step that leap of faith for the courage that you can do this. And I want to thank Monica. Do you have any other questions you want to ask me?
You know, I will say,
Okay.
you know, as far as like the last year, you know, there's so much in this world that this would ties into, you know, a lot of things like perspective that change, you know, that ties into everything in this world. But like, you know, last year, you know, that's when I essentially met you, you know, it's just crazy how perspective has changed me, you know, like until you experience negative stuff, you know, you don't
really appreciate the good though.
Completely different. And like with how positive you are as a person, you know, it's really pushed me to be like, you know, I have no excuse, you know, because granted, I went through hell, you know, we all do at some point in time. And I think when you can make it through those hard times, you can hold your head up high. Head up high, shoulders back, as Jordan Peterson says. People see that, people respect that, and people know that you've been through hell yet, you know, and you're going to be on another podcast to talk about a different struggle more, because this one we wanted to be like more for kids
more
to
kid
hear a
friendly,
story.
appropriate,
and, you know, because there's a lot of people that love especially kids love Mr. G.
Yeah, and we want, everyone to know, we were talking about actually before we started recording, that it's so important for people to know that there's help out there, but that they feel so much more relatable when someone's been through stuff that maybe they're going through, because they feel a connection.
Well, everything is a choice. Is what. Sorry, I just wanted to finish my thought before it's gone.
Sorry.
Everything, including bullying, including being a decent person to somebody, that at some point there's a choice that you consciously make. I'm going to be mean to that person, or I'm going to no longer be mean to that person. That person might be going through a hard time. They might have had a hard childhood. Maybe that person grew up really fast for their body like Mr. G. And imagine how much it would have helped you if somebody, when you were younger, stood up for you. Like, what would they have done?
Yeah.
What would they have changed? Granted, maybe you wouldn't be as tough as you are now, mentally, because as you know, now that you're 48 years old, did things just stay easy the rest of your life?
No. And they're not going to get it.
Yeah.
And we're going to go through hardship.
Yes.
We're going through, not to tie this into podcast, but this dog's not doing good right now. This might be her last podcast. We don't know.
Don't say that.
No, it's reality. But
Just say that.
and the important thing is, she's young. She's going on 4, but we had 4 awesome years with her. Granted, maybe she'll make a miraculous recovery. It's not looking good. She's not really eating. I don't know if you can see from the camera angle. She is skinny as skinny can be. But my point is you can look at the glass half empty and be all bummed out. And I'm gonna be very bummed out when this dog passes away. But we had great memories, and you can apply that to everything in this world. It's perspective.
Yeah.
And you can choose to try to look at the glass half full as much as you can. You're not always going to be able to. I'm not always going to be so positive.
Well, it's just being a positive person all the time. I'm normally annoyingly positive.
Yeah, you are.
But and I know that, but I'm human, and I have days where I'm not like that.
Not really. You're pretty much always happy.
Yes, usually, but there are little times in my life where I'm sad, or I'm just not feeling it, or whatever, but we're all human, and we all just need to try to stay positive. And people that are being bullied need to know that they're not alone, that there's always help out there. Like you said, tell someone. You have to tell someone, say something, and someone will help you.
Right, exactly.
There's people that want to help you. They're waiting for you to reach out, and
people can reach out to me, and it's always, you find that one person that cares. Just show them you care. And before I forgot to mention, and special needs children, don't ever make fun of them, because I have 2 cousins that grew up with special needs. They're born mentally challenged. I'll put it like this. And right now they are 27 and 30, but have a mind of a 12-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
So I grew up with them all my life, so it's hard for them to do normal things. Like sometimes they have trouble tying their shoes. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they have trouble brushing their teeth. They forget, or combing their hair, because they were born. And my aunt and my uncle that passed, they have trouble because they were not, they had trouble with medical issues as well and stuff like that. So I was always taught at a young age, my parents taught me this: if I was blind, I couldn't tell how a person looked. I could just sense how they treated me as a person.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's very important, because the old saying goes, don't judge a book by its cover. But as humans, we all unfortunately do that. I included myself. Some days, I make that mistake and fall into it, and depending on your surroundings. So I'm saying is, special needs children, special needs people are their people too. They are person. They have feelings. So don't just, like when if you're a hero, something like that, you see somebody on YouTube that is doing some or great things, or I have one arm, I can't do it. Or when you watch that commercial on TV where the Shriners, little kids, it makes me so sad, but yet it makes me understand why they do it. And for them kids to do that stuff, like play basketball in a wheelchair, one-legged running or stuff like that, or the Wounded Warrior Project for the military, that is wonderful. That is so wonderful that people, even with disabilities or whatever, outdo Special Olympics. I used to volunteer when I was in Special Olympics. That is the most rewarding day.
Oh, I bet.
It is so much fun. You would think the kids had $1 million. They were so much fun and so much.
You just gave me a thought. I didn't want to interrupt you, but it's exactly in line with that. So I got a friend of ours that started their own podcast called Nonsense and Deep Thoughts, and I haven't heard his whole story. I've heard snippets of it here and there, but the host of the podcast, his name's Corey. He had a daughter, I believe last year, that he almost lost, and she was born with Down syndrome, and she had a lot of medical issues, and we were talking, and and he sent me pictures, and I saw a short where he talked about it, and it sounded like he went through an incredibly hard time with whatever he went through, and I don't even remember the specifics. I don't want to try to paraphrase, but I remember saying to him, I'm like, that's an awesome thing. You were blessed. And I said, what I mean by that is you got a kid. I'm like, because I don't know about you, but like, I've known a handful of people like with Down syndrome and stuff growing up, or like have been around families that have somebody with Down syndrome in their family. And I'm like, in my experience, and maybe this isn't always the case, they're always so freaking happy. So I said, I'm like, I'm like, and I said to him, and I'm like, it's kind of weird thing to say. I'm like, you are very fortunate to have a kid with Down syndrome, because that kid is like so blessed to have a dad like you. B, you could tell he was so appreciative to have his kid that made it through the birth, and it was just incredible. And
his
I'm like,
wife's
I don't
good.
feel bad for him. Some people feel bad for him. Like, who the hell's gonna feel bad for somebody that's happy all the time? As long as they're treated right.
Exactly.
Right. But like, yeah, because a lot of times I think they're the most innocent, happy people on this planet, and we could learn a lot from special needs people.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And also is back in, my wife and I love children, and we can't have any children. And if we had a child, it didn't matter what was wrong with him. We still love him. He or she, whatever, the same, because they are a human being for one thing, and they have feelings too. And they are wonderful people. Like I said, like they used to have the Marine Corps League in Camden and stuff like that. So I belong to that, and my dad. So every Christmas, I knew my cousins wouldn't get much, and I would ask the Marine Corps League if I could get, they want their names or your age and stuff like that. Every year, when they were like from 6 all through high school to 18, 19, I would get them extra Christmas presents.
That's cool.
That's so sweet.
Because I know they wouldn't be getting much. They didn't, and I would just put them from Santa. I wouldn't.
Yeah.
And my aunt and uncle appreciate that, but I would do that because I know they didn't get much. And they're very appreciative. You would have thought you give them $1 million. There's just smiles and stuff like that. And real quick, to this day, they are working. They're both working, and and they work better than some people.
Yeah.
Just saying, they have work ethic.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So it's wonderful, and I just want to thank you and Monica for letting me share my story on here. And
I appreciate it.
Yeah, we want to thank you.
People just listen, just learn. I hope like I said, once again, I'm reiterate. I just hope I touched a child's life today. And I hope one good thing to remember is, please don't go what I did through 7 years of your life, not telling anyone.
Yeah.
Because people do care and people will do it. Nowadays, more resources than back when I was in school.
Yep.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We have a lot of really incredibly good guests lined up as far as just good messages. And as people know, Nenea Reeves, which is pretty huge, she's going to be on our podcast, supposed to be the end of this month, which is, that could be a life-changing episode as well. And like people need to see
Very
this
exciting.
and like,
Yeah.
oh man, it just can be so incredibly helpful. And I really wish, I was talking to him on the way over, I'm like, man, you don't know how much work goes behind the scenes of learning how to do this crap. And it may not be that good. And I own that, but I'm learning. Learning.
It's going to take time.
I saw his audio was peaking a little bit in some of these points, but I think I'll be able to get it edited out a little bit. But the importance of liking and subscribing. I'm like, if 10% of people would like and subscribe that actually are watching this, because if everyone that was watching,
I know.
there's been so many people that have stopped me, and I'm like, man, like,
wait, you're even
a subscriber in like 3 weeks, and yet there's
a lot of
70
people
views in a day on one video, not including all this other stuff, and it is what it is. But my point is the importance of liking and subscribing and all that stuff. It really does help.
Yep.
If nothing else, it motivates us. I'm not trying to make money off this. If I am able to monetize, which I'm actually pretty close to being able to monetize this podcast, what I would like to do is take all of the proceeds and put it more into marketing for
reaching more people.
Episodes.
Yeah.
And I just got an incredibly good potential guest today that could really open up a lot of doors. And on
that, that's awesome.
The more doors that open, the more it helps episodes like this.
Yeah.
Where people just
get out there.
Mr. G just wants to get his message out there.
I know.
And
hit other communities, not just our own.
Yeah.
That's like big.
But, yeah. Either way, we appreciate your support, and I'm by the way, I'm trying not to be rude. As you can see, I can control these cameras from my phone. And when he's talking about important things, I just want to make sure things are recording and whatnot. So but anyway, we appreciate your guys' support, and we hope you guys enjoy, and stay tuned because Mr. G's episode part 2 is going to be, I would say, it'd be less kid oriented.
Yes.
That's
correct.
This one I think was pretty good message for kids and whatnot, but the next one's more like maybe older kids, maybe I would say, like
older
you know what?
kids.
Like nowadays, kids need to start learning reality, I would say 14, 15, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I agree.
My kids have learned a lot about life very quick. Life has a way of creeping up on us and slapping us in the face and knocking us down before we were ever ready.
Yes, I agree. 14, 15-year-old, that should be...
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, anyway, you guys have a good night, and
See you guys.
stay tuned for more content. Thank you.